So in today's video, I'm going to be taking you through my winter prep checklist that I do on my own car to help keep it looking fresher over winter and to make my life a little bit easier as well. I'm also going to share some of my favourite products to use for this situation and link in the description everything that I've mentioned in this video if you are looking for anything in particular. So what I'm going to assume at this point is that your car is pretty clean and you've done a normal wash on it. Now at this point, before you go ahead and do anything else, if you haven't done a chemical decon on your car recently, I would really think about doing it now. So a chemical decon typically involves two chemicals, so a tar remover, an iron fallout remover, and if you have a ceramic coated vehicle in particular, then using either a water spot remover or acidic shampoo to help deal with mineral deposit buildup is worth looking at too. So in terms of iron fallout removers, there are plenty of good ones out there. Built Hamber Corosol is a good one, Garage Therapy's iron oxide. Quite a lot of brands do a pretty good iron fallout remover, so you shouldn't have too much trouble finding one. Tar removers, again, a lot of good ones out there. I really like the Garage Therapy one if you're looking for kind of pure strength. If you are worried about staining on black plastic trim though, for example if you've got like an SUV or a Mini, then have a look at the Yum Cars tar and residue remover, as that's formulated not to have that issue. So either of those are going to work really well. Now if you are looking for an acidic shampoo, again, lots of good ones out there. My favourite is probably Yum Reset, but the Garage Therapy one and Car Pros are also excellent choices. Now the reason I would recommend doing a chemical decon now, as opposed to waiting until springtime, is that it's going to help the protection that you're going to be applying later to bond as well as possible. If you can start with a clean surface at the start of winter, it's going to make your life easier when it comes to spring. And ideally you wouldn't want to let it build up more. Doing a chemical decon a couple of times a year is a pretty good idea on most cars. In terms of claying the car, it's really going to depend on your situation. If you are planning on polishing and applying some protection, then go ahead and clay the car, that's totally fine. But just keep in mind that clay will likely cause some marring in the paintwork. So if you're not planning on polishing and that marring's going to bother you, then you might want to leave it and just do the chemical decon stage. That's going to get the paintwork pretty clean. If you're using something like a synthetic clay cloth or clay block, they generally don't tend to cause as much marring. And really whether you're going to get any kind of swirling and marring that's noticeable is probably going to depend on the car that you've got. If you went and did it on rock hard German paint that was say 10 years old, you might be okay. If I did it on my MX-5 though, for example, it would absolutely cause some noticeable marring, so that's why I tend not to do it. So next up, I wanted to talk about paint protection. If you can apply a good solid layer of paint protection now, it's going to make your life a lot easier over winter. The reason being is that most sealants, coatings and waxes as well tend to apply better when the temperature is a touch warmer. If you go trying to apply those in sub 5 degrees Celsius temperatures, you're generally going to have issues with them curing and they're just not going to work as well. Also, if the humidity is quite high, as it generally is over winter, you can have issues as well with smearing and streaking with sealants and quick detailers. So if you get a good layer on now, it's going to save you some of those problems over winter. And you can use things like spray and rinse sealants or drying aids to top up that protection if you need it. If you are looking for a durable paint protection option that can be applied over chemically decontaminated and not clayed and polished paint, then I would look at the Gyeon Kanko Evo. It's a product that's impressed me quite a lot over the past year, as it does really have very good durability and performance and is nice and easy to apply. I do have a video of it on the second channel if you're looking for more information on it. It's a 12-month ceramic coating but a sprayable one, so it's easy to work with. If you don't want to go into kind of that ceramic coating territory and you're looking for something else, then you can't really go wrong with the Soft 99 waxes, as they generally can take quite a lot of abuse over winter. So next up, leading on from protection but moving on to a different area of the car, and that is the glass. Now I really like having a glass coating on my car, as when it's raining it means that the wipers don't have to do as much work and the water kind of just rolls off the windscreen. Obviously it tends to rain quite a lot over winter, so having this kind of products does really help me. Now the main thing to think about if you are applying a glass coating or sealant is to make sure you do some prep work beforehand, as that's where you'll tend to run into issues like wiper judder, streaking, looking a bit dodgy basically under direct light. You don't want all that, so getting the glass prepared first is going to make a big difference. Now using a glass polish is the best option to go for really, so CarPro Seriglass is a good option, Tac Systems have one too, but basically get that glass nice and clean before you think about applying anything to it. In terms of my recommendations for glass coatings, the most durable one I've tried personally is Soft 99 Glaco Ultra. You can get quite a long time out of this and it should hopefully last you through winter. I do recommend as well topping it up with a hydrophobic glass cleaner. The same one by Soft 99 is a good option. as that will help to keep it going over those harsher conditions and hopefully last you fully until spring. Now, whether you're applying the glass coating or not, I do recommend taking this opportunity to give your wiper blades a good deep clean. Now, if you can remove them from the car, then that's obviously makes life a little bit easier so you're not leaning over it. But I usually use an all-purpose cleaner, so Koshemi Green Start, and I'll run it along the wiper blade using a microfiber towel just to clean that edge up, and then I'll use another damp microfiber towel just with water in order to remove any chemical residue before popping it back on the car. Now back onto protection, and an often overlooked area of the car when it comes to protecting the vehicle is actually all the rubber seals that are going to go around your doors and your windows and things like that. Now, those can be quite prone to cracking, particularly UV can cause this, but also cold conditions and those temperature changes can cause it as well. So if you want to think about protecting that, then I would recommend something like Garage Therapy Tyre Serum, which is a rubber conditioner. Obviously works on the tyres, but also just works on rubber surfaces in general. And it's going to essentially kind of nourish that rubber, as weird as it sounds, but hopefully help to keep it from cracking. And it's something that I do annually on my car as we're coming to this time of year, just to help keep those looking nice. And so far they do look pretty good. Now at this point as well, I will check on the door shuts. I give them a weekly wipe down, but I will just check that there's no kind of extra dirt build-up that needs dealing with, particularly around the hinges. Now after this, I will apply a top-up lubricant. I did this after a few years ago. My mechanic told me that the hinges were too clean, so I needed to put a lubricant on them. You can use white lithium, and I have done it in the past, but it does tend to look a little bit ugly, so I typically stick to silicone ones now. Now, the next one on my list isn't something that I actually do on my own car, but it's something that I think is worth looking at depending on your vehicle, and that's applying some kind of underbody protection to it. Now, I haven't done this personally. I've had this car since brand new, and I don't know how much longer I'm going to have it, so I've not invested into that yet. But if you are really conscious about rusting and you don't store your car and wrap it up in cotton wool over winter, then again, this is a good time of year to start thinking about that if you do plan on applying it. Now next up, and this one isn't strictly detailing related, but just general car maintenance, I always do check my tyre pressure and my windscreen wiper fluid at this time of year. For the wiper fluid, I do use the high definition detail one, as that works at pretty low temperatures, and I've been really happy with that one over the past winter, so we'll be continuing with that this year. But yeah, worth checking at this time of year as you don't want to be caught short. Now leading on from that a little bit, I do also at this time of year pop a microfiber towel and some glass cleaner actually in my car. Sadly my car doesn't have a glove box, but it does have a little bit of a cubby. The storage on an MX-5 isn't very good. But I always pop something in there just in case I end up in really kind of inclement conditions and I'm struggling to see if there's sort of kind of salt and grit on the windscreen. Not an ideal situation, but I do always make sure I have kind of this emergency cleaning kit for my glass, just in case I need it. Now I did want to touch on interior protection as well. Obviously your car's not going to get battered on the interior as much as the exterior over winter. However, things like the mats can, especially if you're getting in with salt and dirt on your shoes, then they can get a bit battered. But the reason I like applying interior protection before it gets too late in the year and too cold is for the same reason as with the paint protection. Applying heavier duty protection, which requires some curing to get the most out of it, for example a ceramic interior sealant, will generally work better if you don't do it when it's super cold. Ideally, you want to be keeping those temperatures above 5 degrees, and some products will require even more than that. So getting it down now, if you do plan on applying it, is a good idea, and I definitely wouldn't recommend holding off if you do plan on applying it. So on my car, I usually apply my leather protection, my dashboard sealant, and sometimes I'll apply something to the mats, but not always. Kind of depends really. I don't like having sort of super hydrophobic mats. Sometimes I'll put something like DIY Detail Interior Ceramic on it, just to give it that extra protection. But yeah, again, I don't like kind of water beading up and floating around the car when I'm moving. So yeah, but the plastics and the leather, I do get protected at this time of year too. Partly for the reason it's going to be better for them curing, and also it's just not a job I really want to be doing when it's 2 degrees outside. Now it would be great at this point if you could share any more tips you have in the comments that I might have missed on this video. And if you are looking for any of the products that I've mentioned, then they all will be in the description. If you have found this video helpful, it would be brilliant if you could drop it a like, and thanks for watching.